Alright, it's November 9th, 2017. Sorry again for the delay that we had. The delay was due to some training missions we had, and around here, winter is coming, so it's cold, and we got a wood cook stove, which is pretty cool. Unfortunately, it means that you have to get a lot of wood, and we weren't exactly prepared to get it as soon as we did. So we're kind of struggling to get a lot of the wood and stuff right now and get the plow truck able to be street worthy enough to go pick all this stuff up. We cut down some of our own stuff, and we're going to be looking for that for next year, but we have to kind of scramble right now and pick up what we can find. Well, and a lot of things happened in the last 2 weeks, obviously, so I'm going to cover that. Primarily is the most recent one, is everybody's heard it, if you weren't, if you've been alive, is the guy on Sunday, the Air Force bad conduct discharge guy. I don't think he was dishonorably discharged from what I'm understanding. He basically is, it's kind of a sad story, but it shows how government's failureship to control things. The government wants regulations, government wants all these rules, and they failed. They dropped the ball. He was I'm not going to use his name, but I'm going to give you kind of a rundown of who he was. He was an Air Force desk jockey, nobody special, nothing in military police, nothing crazy, so obviously he didn't get special training in anything. He was basically, he got married and beat his wife, beat his kid to the point where fractured his son's skull, which is disgusting. What kind of man are you at this point? He got in trouble for punching dogs, got time for that. He was found out after the first beating of his wife and kids that he actually got suspended in the Air Force or placed under like a house arrest program. His wife divorced him. She moved out with the kid. He got remarried because this guy is awesome, right? Because he's such a winner. He got remarried to someone else, and the pattern continued, beating his wife and kid. She left. He got the bad conduct discharge. It took some time to process in the Army, or excuse me, Air Force. And I want to say the second spouse's family was at this church. He came through with an AR-15, came through with body armor and whatnot, and just did a typical mass shooting at a church. I wouldn't say typical because I don't think it's that common, but he did a mass shooting. A bunch of people in that church were not armed. They did not have any weapons on them. They did not have a plan for a mass shooting. They did not have a plan for anything. And this is what happens. This church got basically laid siege to by one man, and nobody was able to defend themselves. Luckily, across the street, a man was woken up by his daughter and said, "There's a man shooting the church across the street." He ran out, socks and no shoes, no nothing, grabbed his AR-15 and was able to return fire, striking the guy from the Air Force. 2 hits, and the guy dropped his rifle and ran into his car and took off. Well, he was able to flag down a buddy of his, and they were able to chase down the car. And at that point, I'm not sure if he died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound because he was already hit and bleeding out. Because what happens when most people of these mass shooting types get hit? They flee. They panic. They're not ready for it. And well, as soon as someone shot back too, they flee. They thought they were at an unarmed event. They could get away with it. But at that point, he killed himself, or he was killed. Don't care, don't matter to me how he died. I'm just glad he's dead. And the story really that intrigues me is it's a tale of two guns. One, the left, the liberals, would push and harp down your throat that this mass shooter is the exact reason why you need an assault weapons ban, why you need this, semi-automatics shouldn't exist. And on the other flip side, the same thing, the same rifle, the same ability, this great man, who's an honorable man, was able to save more lives with the same rifle. He placed a couple well-placed shots and nailed them and stopped the threat. And yet, the left would like you to believe that by taking out all semi-automatic weapons, that this guy, who's a bad conduct discharge, with all this domestic abuse history, who legally could not have a gun. He can legally not go there to have a gun. Somehow still managed to get it. Why? Because criminals will always get guns. Someone who wants to break the law will always break the law and get the gun. The problem is, if someone had passed that law, the guy across the street wouldn't have had anything. He would have had good intentions. Maybe a good idea, nothing. He could call the cops. This, to me, is a prime example of self-reliance. The church leadership at that church failed. They did not have a plan. They did not have any way of, thinking through a problem. And this is going to also go into more of a church theory, too. Your churches need security. Whether it's, you can talk to our company, Raven Tactical, and we offer you a plan. We look, take a look at your church. Take a look at the problems that you have. Take a look at the opportunity and think like a mass shooter would come in. And then you come up with a plan, an SOP, standard operating procedure of a way to deal with this. You need something down. You need a mask. You need, what would I call it? You're going to need a combat lifesaver, support bag, a go bag of medical supplies for trauma. It's going to have cat tourniquets. It's going to have pressure bandages. It's going to have all these things in it that are all staged, ready to go. And guess what? You probably will never use it. But the day that comes when somebody slips and falls and stabs themselves in the leg, and you go, shoot, we do have that ability. Or you do unfortunately have a guy that comes in through the window or comes through the main door, mad that his wife's attending your church because he's an atheist, and he's losing his mind, and he starts shooting. Well, guess what? You shot that guy, you were able to put him down, but now you have the medical supplies because some of your guys got hit. That guy was able to get the jump on you for a little bit. It's also identifying people in your church who are going to have a gun and going to come to church prepared with a gun, with the training to deal with kind of a close combat, indoor training, the indoor kind of experience, and they're willing to put rounds downrange into a human target and kill it and save your family, your church, and the people around you. I don't support doing first aid to the person that you killed. If that mass shooter is bleeding out, okay, don't go near him. Let him bleed out and die. That's as simple as that. Again, this is the second shooting at a church I've seen in a while. The first one was a black man who hated white people, and this one was an atheist who had a binge against Christianity, a binge against probably the fact that his wife left him after he abused them. And it's just a shame. Like, you can't regulate evil. You're not going to be able to do it. Evil exists, and people have the intention and will to do it. You can't take things away from people and expect it. A perfect example of this is the fact that a week prior to that, a terrorist man, Islamic man, who had a $19, rented a Home Depot truck and proceeded to drive down New York and went on a bike path and just plowed into many of the people as he could. Here's a perfect example of it. The left did not want you getting all up in arms that a Islamic person, who's also a refugee status, was mowing people down with a truck, a 7,000-pound truck. You can't do anything about that. You can barely talk about that. That was hush-hush, because they found out, oh God, it finally happened that this guy did it. We had a terrorist attack in New York, and that was supposed to be kept under rug, but as soon as this shooting in Texas happened, boom, you had everybody out there calling for blood, wanting everybody to go, well, they shouldn't have done this, they should have done that, they should have been here. You got to get rid of all weapons. But the same thing can happen. You can drive a truck, you could make a bomb. A lot of those guys are going around to their mosques learning how to make bombs. If you don't think that the Iraq-Afghanistan war had a bunch of these people trained up, Iran was training them all, and they're going all over the place. If you don't think your mosques are center hubs of training and breeding grounds for all this, you better check again. The concept that I think is a lot of these are going to be lone wolf attacks, but there's going to be eventually a mass run. There's going to be a mass run eventually within the next 10 years that they're going to do a mass attack that's coordinated at maybe, several of your major city areas. So I just wanted to fill people in on the week, perhaps kind of go into a little bit of a concept of training, emphasizing training again. Also, I guess, too, also the Antifa November 4th thing. It's kind of it's what I thought would have happened. They didn't show up, unless you consider that Sunday shooting. I don't know if he was Antifa or not, but it would follow in their concepts of hating Christianity and hating conservatives. Nothing really happened, which is good, because I would rather be prepared for nothing than, or I should say, be prepared for everything and then have nothing happen. I don't want people to get hurt. I don't want people dead, and I don't want, this whole war to kick off. However, knowing that, they may still have something else planned. You just be cautious, be alert, Don't take that go bag out of your car just because, November 4th is over. I don't need the train. It was just a joke. I feel stupid. Don't feel stupid. The people that sat there and mocked people for being prepared for November 4th are idiots. You have the people from Pennsylvania militia, their founder, or whatever you want to call him, their president, was calling people stupid, saying nothing's going to happen. You guys are all dumb. Well, you know what? The concept is this. I'd rather have the people that I talk to and the people that are subscribing to our channels and the people that want to take our classes ready. Whether it's November 4th Antifa, or they do a surprise attack and they'd set fire to everything downtown, or as an Islamic guy is driving around in another Home Depot truck with fertilizer bombs, blowing stuff up. You know what? I'd rather have people be alerted, be prepared, and have everything ready to go no matter what happens. So, you just don't know in this time. Evil exists. I think the biggest thing that you have to look at, too, right now is that God took his hand, or I should say, our country has fallen from God's grace in the sense, it used to be a very polar Christianity country. It was strongly Christian. But I think as time's gone, the morals that we have decayed, and you're seeing the result of it. You're seeing the result of broken homes being more popular. You're seeing the result of just sin taking over. And God's kind of lifted the hand, the protective veil of the United States. The protective veil that kind of kept us shrouded from a lot of this, and it's gone. I think, unless the country repents and gets back onto itself, you're going to see more and more. The country itself is also decaying. The world itself is decaying. Look at the people around you. This never would have happened 50 years ago, 30 years ago. This is now becoming to the point where people are either trying to do this to become famous, or they're trying this for some sort of political gains. But you have to be prepared. And the thing I'm going to try to tell people too is this: put your phone down, be alert, be ready for anything. If things look suspicious, check it out. Check it out. Make sure that you call it in, or you take note of it. Suspicious car, write down the plates. Suspicious person, take note of their behaviors and what they're doing. They might be casing you to rob you. They might be casing you to shoot you. Who knows? I just want everybody to be out there to be how would I put it? I'm just going to go with stay alert, stay alive, and be safe. This channel really is for that. It's for everybody's safety. It's there to teach people, skills and perhaps things that they needed to know. And it's for updates on what's going on in this world. So I'm going to end it with that. Further videos there's going to be one on a Vortex Strike Fire review and a BSA Sweet 22. We picked up a Ruger 1022, and we're going to mount it to that and kind of give a rundown and review. Hopefully have that up by next week or in 2 weeks. So again, signing out here. Everybody here, just stay alert, stay alive, keep your head on a swivel, and just pray for this country. And if you don't believe in prayer, then you know what, just how do I put it, if you don't believe in prayer, just go out and just be kind to someone. So have a good day.